All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. We are back. We are live for another week. What's up, everyone? Margin, Tur, Dino, Lawrence, Bob. What's up, guys? Kevin, Chef, how you doing? Fade, what's up, man? Creative, how's it going, guys? Christmas tree is here. Yes, it is. I got to get one of those little things for the bottom. So I don't like seeing that stand down there. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You know what? Actually, I got to add to this. First, you got a nice quote there. Number 2, I just want to add this for you. What a stock. What a stock. What an awesome, awesome, awesome stock. Broadcom, man. Absolutely beautiful this morning. And holding those leaps. Just what a beautiful opportunity. What a beautiful chart, man. We're gonna break it down. Really just sort of reinvigorates and re-excites me about technical analysis because Broadcom is just, it's the epitome. This current setup is just the epitome. It's just awesome. We'll break it down. But waking up to that this morning was very nice. Very happy about that one. Brainstorming some Christmas renders. Would love it amped. We'll get caught up to this week with everything. Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, the skirt. That's right. Yeah, birthday soon. Appreciate that, Margin. Yes, sir. Coming soon, 22nd. I'll be 31 years old. 31. Wow. Unbelievable. Appreciate that, Margin. We going to be live on my birthday? I don't think so. I think I'm going to be... That whole week of Christmas, I might be pretty difficult. I think I fly out that day, actually. I'm flying to New York for my birthday. And I am flying out on my birthday. So yeah, no stream. I think that whole week, guys, is going to be pretty tough for me. It's my grandpa's 90th birthday. So that is a much more important time than showing up to the live stream for a pretty nonsense week of trading. Market's closed. What is market closed on Christmas Eve? Economic, oh no, it's market holidays 2025. What's the deal with? Okay, so we're closed on Christmas. Christmas Eve, the market closes early. Yeah, I mean, that's just, yeah, guys, let's take a break, huh? Christmas Eve, I mean, man, please don't trade on Christmas Eve. Enjoy yourself a little bit, huh? Christmas market's closed, and then, man, if you come back on the 26th after Christmas, you are a committed individual. But so yeah, that week is definitely a no-go. Birthday on the 22nd, flying to New York, gonna spend Grandpa's 90th birthday. That's very important to us. And then we got Christmas, and yeah, so yeah, I think that's hopefully you guys approve my PTO there. Hopefully you approve the PTO. Actually, it wouldn't even be PTO. It would just be time off because I'm not getting paid. And then we'll be back for the weekend to New Year's for sure. Okay. Love the quote. Appreciate that, Jake. Never bend your rules to accommodate your gut. Right? It's a good quote. I like that one this morning. Going to try to live by that today as well. Never bend your rules to accommodate your gut. Excuse me. All right. So let's get it started. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Today is what some would call No News Monday. Nothing out there, no catalysts, and we have FOMC on Wednesday. So got to be a little bit careful of that this morning. Got to be a little bit aware of the potential lack of catalyst out there this morning. We do have some economic data tomorrow. As you can see here, we have the JOLTS, which is 10 o'clock, and then ADP, which is tentative. So let's be aware of that. ADP weekly employment change, that's tentative, which I don't even know if we're going to get that. And then JOLTS at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. Following that, we have the FOMC on Wednesday. So let's be a little bit aware of the potential lack of juice prior to the Wednesday event. Let's understand that we could get a little bit of sideways continuation, sideways action in this channel that we have been stuck in. I got the yawns this morning. I don't know what that's all about. I was up pretty early. Maybe that's why. So yeah, let's just understand that today could be a little bit lackluster. You don't have any catalysts. You have JOLTS tomorrow. You have FOMC on Wednesday. And you also have a very clear channeling move on the market. Now, there actually is one level that I'd like to share with you today. And this actually does give me some interest in the trading day. And there's one thing that happened last week that you should pay attention to, okay? And we're going to go over that. What's that one thing that happened last week that's actually meaningful to me? Because pretty much the entire week was crap. It was actually one of the crappiest weeks not in terms of, just in terms of overall direction and overall price action. All right, looking at these intradays, Monday wasn't bad, but look at this Tuesday, look at this Wednesday, look at this Thursday, and look at this Friday. Pretty bad intraday continuation, right? Basically, closing the day where you opened on a daily basis. You opened here, you closed here. You opened, where'd you open? You opened here, you did gap fill that move, but you basically closed where the overnight session hied out or topped out here. You opened right around here, you closed here, you opened here, you closed here, right? So pretty much a nonsense move all week last week. But there is one thing, and you can probably see it on the charts, and that is right here for me, the 25,670 level. I would make sure you have 25,670 on your NASDAQ charts this week, because I think right now that is the potential inflection point on who's in control this week. Why do I say that? Well, you have a Tuesday high, you have a Wednesday high, you have a Wednesday overnight session rejection there, you have a Thursday pre-market, you have a Thursday intraday, you have a Friday low of day. Okay, that is somewhat interesting. You have major rejections all throughout the week, just not being able to get above this level all throughout the week, right? Sort of living inside of this zone, right? So we were sort of living here, we were living here, we were living here. And on Friday, where did we start to live? We started to live here, right? A little bit of a flip above the 50% of this channel, right? You went from turning the 50% of the channel into rejections into support. And so that's actually maybe meaningful. I think that is meaningful. That is something that actually sort of occurred and showed last week. That was the last thing of, the last move of last week was right here. Look at these lows that established all throughout the end of day on Friday. Holding, 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 holding. And still holding into this morning, right? So that actually, I think, is a pretty important level. That's a pretty important inflection point on the short term. And I would say in this situation, if the NASDAQ is above this level this week, then I would, be looking for the NASDAQ to continue to the upside. If the NASDAQ flips back under these highs and flips back under this Tuesday high, something like this, and starts to reject again and trades back into this channel, then I would say that the bears could take a little bit of control in the short term. So that's really my sort of, you guys, we talk about the seesaw. So you got the seesaw, which side is the seesaw on, right? Right now, I think the bulls are still in control, but that middle of the seesaw, that little middle point is right here, 25,670. So that's my key inflection point of the week. And as long as you're north of that level, I would say pullback longs and bullish trends are still the right call. If you are to flip back under, then I think you could see some weakness creep in, and I would be aware of that. Now, I have some levels, just sort of, short-term levels to watch. You have Friday's lows, you have Thursday's lows, and of course, you still have the 25,400 demand below, which is still a fantastic pullback long spot if we get that pullback, right? Remember, 25.4, 25.4, 25.4. So this spot's still very juicy if we do get that pullback. So keep an eye on that spot down there. But you can clearly see we are coming up into the 25.9 supply. If you guys remember, on Monday of last week, our target was 25.9. That was our target for you guys on the NASDAQ for the entire week. And that was where you basically saw the major rejection on Friday morning. So you hit our target last week. You went from the key demand to the key supply. You went from the 25.4 key demand to the key supply at 25.9. That was basically your entire week. Now this week, we have to be careful of 25.9. I mean, it's just very clear. That is very clearly a potential failure point. You have previous rejections, and you are right into it. So if you reject here again, I would say 25.4 is very possibly a pullback spot to be looking for. And if you do break under that key inflection point, maybe you do look to short it back into 25.4, right? That's up to you. Now, if you flip over 25.9 today, this is going to be a very strong week, okay? If you flip over 25.9, if you turn 25.9 into support this week, then you are looking for the all-time high. There is really nothing left. If you turn these highs and these highs and these lows back into lows this week, you are back into 26,400, back into the all-time highs on the NASDAQ. Okay, let's go to the QQQ. So if we go into the QQQ, we have a very similar analysis. We have a key inflection point, and that is 624. Let me actually go ahead and do inflection point. That is 624 for me on the QQQ. That is my inflection point of the week. Now, why is that my inflection point? Well, if you take a look at this, you can see we have Tuesday's highs, we have Wednesday's highs, we have Thursday's rejections, and what do we have at that 624 level on Friday? We turn that exact level into all-day lows, 624, 624, 624. So that is, for me, a very important spot. If the QQQ continues the battle above this 624 high, that was originally the highs of the, highs of the week, really, prior to Friday. This was your high of the week prior to Friday. On Friday, you flipped it into support. So that's very important, and that's an inflection point. So as long as we're north of that, I really don't think you're looking for downside on this market. If you flip below it, I think you will get downside on this market, because that would be a very important inflection point rejection, a flip back under these lows. So if you do get that, then I would absolutely maybe change your mindset short term, and that probably would drive us down into that 617.50, 618. Now, for now, right, this thing is sort of just ripping higher, holding above that inflection point. The last thing I want to point out for you on the QQQ is that there is actually a gap to fill above, which we have not filled. And this could be your target for the week, my friends. This is actually something we pointed out in our call last night. Right here, you can see over 627 right here. There's a gap to fill technically to 632. That is technically the gap. You have a close from November 3rd at 632, and you have an open technically. The open is actually down here, right? You have a close at 632 and an open at 623. So that's a 10-point gap. And you can see, which is actually really interesting here, look at where the inflection point is on the daily chart. This even more validates my thesis here. Look at this daily low. This daily low and this high, where that gap was, is 624. All right, that's pretty incredible. So it is very clear to me that if you hold above 624 here, you are not moving lower. And I would not be shorting back into this daily low, back into this daily high, back into that gap start level, which is really the gap starts here at 623.32. That gap technically ends at 632. Now, I always put the wicks on my gap plays because I believe the lows and highs of these days are still meaningful, right? So here's your technical gap here to here, but I still would put your wicks of the highs and lows of those days. And the highs and lows of those days right here is where that real gap is without any price action. And that is 627 to 629.85. And if we go to the short-term time frames, we can see we are holding above 627 right here in the pre-market, and that is 629.85. So you might be looking for that to fill today from 627 to 629.85. That is, in my opinion, a very likely scenario on the QQQ. Here is your gap start and your key inflection point, 624 on the Qs. I would keep that on your charts, okay? All right. S&P 500, very clear inflection point as well. It's all very similar this today. So right here, you guys can see on the ES futures, we have bam, smackdown on Friday. Bam, smackdown on Monday. Bam, smackdown on Tuesday. Bam, smackdown on Wednesday. And what do we have on Friday? Holds, 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 right? Holds. Key rejection, 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 rejection into all-day holds. That's meaningful, my friends. That is something you pay attention to. That is not just some BS. That's not a coincidence. That is meaningful stuff, right? The fact that all these rejections turned into support. So that's the level you watch, right? That's how you set up your week. If you are above this level, I would not be looking to short into it. It just doesn't really make sense to me. If you fail back under these highs, then you are saying, okay, here we go, right? If you're a short seller, if you want to look for downside, which I'm not opposed to it, I love downside. I actually think I'm a better downside trader, to be quite honest, because the strategy I trade just flows more aggressively on downside. So I love looking for downside, but I don't love looking for downside back into previous highs, right? Not going to short an uptrend into previous highs. That's just not interesting. But where would I get interested? I would get interested on one of these right here, right? If I see one of these set up, a little bear flag, break and retest of these highs, if this high and these highs turn back into failures, then I'm shorting that thing, right? So that's what you wait for. That's your key inflection point. You either look for maybe the pullback long here, or you look for the break and retest rejection. One or the other. That's your key spot. But for now, you are simply holding above it and moving higher. So you have to sort of stay with that trend. The upside supply is very clear at 6,900. That's a major, major supply level. You can clearly see that. This is a massive spot this week, guys. 6,900 is massive. 6,900, 6,900, 6,900. So that is a huge spot. And could that be the reason that we fail and fail under the inflection point? Absolutely, right? Could the 6,900 failure and selling that picks up there be the reason we fail under the inflection point? Hell yeah, it could be. Now the question is, or the thing you want to think about is, do you have to short this area, right? Do you have to catch the short off 6,900? I don't think you do, right? Allow it to reject. Let it flip this trend, right? Let the flashbang. Let it reject 6,900. Let it break this uptrend, right? Let it reject under that inflection point and then take your position. Because then you have super confirmation of failures, trend break, flip under inflection point, I'm short, right? That makes a lot of sense. Until then, I would say you have to stay on the side of this trend. That's it. So 6,900, watch out for that. SPY doesn't have the gap. Let me take a look. Does SPY not have that gap? SPY, when was that rejection? QQQ, that failure was on the 3rd to the 4th. Let me see. What did SPY do on the 3rd to the 4th? So right here, the 3rd to the 4th, that technically is a gap, but it did close on the intraday, right? So that sort of closed. You can see look at how they touched right there. Look at that little bam, bam. So here's your close, here's your open. So there was a gap, and then it closed and rejected, right? So that's your gap close reversal. That's a beautiful day, by the way. Actually, it's not even the gap close reversal. This actually shows you why I include the wicks on the gap days, right? Here's your example as to why I include the wicks. Because technically, this is your close, right? And this is your open. And so technically, this is your gap right here. Close to open, that's your gap, right? So you would say, you know, in a perfect world, to close this gap down from here to here, you would need to trade all the way back up to gap close, which was around 683. Now, what you didn't do was trade all the way up to that gap fill. What you did was actually trade up into the low of that day, which then failed, right? This wick shows you that the market did trade up and did touch this level and then rejected. So that's why I still use those wicks of those days, which are just the highs and lows of those days. They are meaningful, right? That's why I have this wick here on the QQQ and this wick here on the QQQ marked out, because that shows you why you do that right there. I mean, I'm not making it up. That is just a very clear, written in stone example, all right? So that's that. But that's pretty much, I mean, what are those levels? That's, we're well past that, right? It's over, right? The SPY that's actually the zone the SPY is holding, believe it or not, all right? That's actually the level the SPY is holding. 678, 680, that's your gap fill. Look at where you held this week. All 678, 680. So that's gone, and, you know, it's over for the SPY. The SPY is actually saying, hey, I'm going to regain that level, and I'm holding above it. So that's strong on the SPY, definitely. Your inflection point on the SPY this week, very clearly 684. It's about as clear as can be. Highs, 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 bam, 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 into low of day, right? Right there. So that's pretty damn clear. 684 SPY. As long as you're north of that, there's no reason to short back into these highs. Same story, guys. You flip back under it, you turn it into a rejection, you bear flag, bam, rejection, downside. All right, until that happens, I mean, you're pretty damn close to all-time highs, guys. You're pretty damn close, right? So welcome back to all-time highs. I'd like to say that today. I'd like to be able to say welcome back to all-time highs because, I mean, what an opportunity again. And if you guys, man, here we are again, right? Here we are again as a group, all 20, what are we at? All 2,400, 2,300 of us. Welcome back, my friends. I hope you're having a great day. I just want to reiterate once again, let's go back in time to the moment of time where we were all sitting here on the live stream just about 2 weeks ago, and we said, I wonder if the 100 SMA bounce is another opportunity long in this market. Well, bam, there you go, all right? There it is. And I remember us talking about this on November 21st, November 24th, November 20th. We were here on the live stream, and we said, I wonder when, right, we're going to look back at this in the future and we're going to say, wow, what an opportunity that was off the 100 SMA. And there you go, guys. Here we are. Today's the day. What an opportunity off the 100 SMA. And that is exactly where I bought my leaps, right? And I'm very happy about it. I actually acted upon this, and I couldn't be happier about it. I mean, right here, it's all written down right here. Back on November 20th, I took the Tesla swing. Back on November 24th, I took Microsoft, I took Meta, I took Broadcom. I took all my leaps right here on the 24th. Right, this was the day that I grabbed everything. I grabbed the Teslas, I grabbed the Metas, the Microsofts, and the Broadcoms, all right here on November 24th. And where was that? That was right here. Right, trading that with the thought process that we're going to look back in the future and say, there we go again, another opportunity off the 100 SMA. And it's the same thing again, which is just awesome. It's awesome. It's just a matter of trusting it, guys. Right? I did nothing hard. I did nothing difficult. We just analyzed our charts on a daily basis. We saw pullbacks as opportunities in a bullish trend, and we acted upon it. That's it. Right? That's the difference. And what did I do? I accepted my risk. So, welcome back. Am I taking anything off in the Broadcom? That's a great question, Chef. It really is. I have not decided that yet. And I really, it's going to be a hard one to decide, isn't it? That is a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know. Maybe I look to like hedge the swings a little bit, Chef. That would be more of where I'm thinking. Instead of taking it off, maybe I hedge it because there's so much time on the contract, so I really don't want to close them. Maybe just like a hedge short term, right? That's sort of the thought. Maybe I look to take some short term puts, even though I don't like doing that because those puts could go to zero as well. But maybe I do that just in case of a rare major downside move to offset that risk. I'm looking at more of a hedge idea than I am selling the position, Chef. Let me put it at that. Because Broadcom is just simply the best stock in the stock market. And we've been talking about that for a long time. And I don't want to sell the best stock in the stock market personally. This thing is just incredible. All right. So let's continue. Let's go to IWM. IWM is setting up another perfect hold. The IWM is possibly becoming the right index. I guess you could call it an index. The right ETF. The IWM is an ETF, but the Russell is an index. The RTY, the Russell futures. I think this is becoming, right now at least, the best thing to be watching in terms of technical analysis. This thing could not be more clean. The IWM from last week, if you guys remember, we had our 4-hour setup, right? And look at what this has done. We had our pullback long of IWM here at 245. Beautiful upside move. The next day, you turn the highs into lows again, right? You turn the highs into lows again. And today, you are once again turning these highs into lows again, right? So this thing is starting to look pretty damn sexy. I would be watching the Wednesday's highs today at 250. As long as you hold above that Wednesday high at 250, this is, again, another structure higher. And IWM is looking strong to start the day. Watch 250. Watch this 248. Watch, of course, 245. Look for these pullback longs in IWM. Roll their strikes. Yeah, I mean, Bart, they're already... Yeah, I guess I could roll the strike just to make it... Yeah, that's technically how you can lock up some profits, right? That's not a bad idea, Bart. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Roll the strike. Roll the strike out. Yeah, I mean, I have the 400s, which were pretty much at the money, right? So I could roll them out to like the 420s, which would theoretically, lock in some profits. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Yeah, I got to think through it. I don't hate that, though. It's not a bad idea. Okay. So let's continue. Russell, keep an eye on it, man. The small caps are definitely eating up a little bit. That's without a doubt. IBIT. Would love to see IBIT get over this 53.25 level to spark some Bitcoin juice. That's what I'm really watching this week and, throughout the rest of the year, basically. Does Bitcoin get above this level? Do we get above 53.25? Can we get above these highs? Man, I would really love to see that. That would be such a key inflection point, such a key flip on IBIT, and it would really spark some nice trades, in my opinion. So keep an eye on that 53.25 on IBIT. Okay? All right. Let's move into some equities. Before we do that, if I could ask you guys to please press that like button for me. You don't have to, but hey, if you appreciate waking up every day and having this available to you for free, all I ask is for you to press the like button. So if you could do that, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. Why is the VIX high? Let me see. VIX, yeah, the VIX elevated a little bit on Friday. Oh, did it gap up today? Yeah, a little gap. Is this? Yeah, it's a gap up on the VIX. Interesting. Maybe just probably a little FOMC, Juan, right? Anticipation of that. Little anticipation of volatility. Okay, press that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We hit 120,000 subscribers, so I appreciate that, guys. All right, Tesla. So I anticipate 2 pullbacks to be watched here on Tesla. And I sold my Tesla swing on Friday, and I moved it out into a January, I believe. Did I go January? I think I did. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure I went January's. Yes, I went January's on Tesla. I moved it out a month, right? So I just grabbed some more time, locked in profits, and used a small portion of those profits and those proceeds to take more time on Tesla as we were approaching the expiration date. So I wanted to, sort of grab more time on this one because I would anticipate a little bit of a pullback, right? So if I'm anticipating some pullbacks, then I don't want to be caught, with my pants down on short-term expiration. So what I'm looking for here on Tesla now, to be honest, is a pullback to 434. I know a lot of you guys probably don't want to see that if you have some, Friday expiration contracts here, but I think that really is the right move. Back down to this 434 high right here, back down to that daily 50, and fill in this straight up move here. I think that's a fantastic look on Tesla. You definitely have a low volume area here, right, on the volume profile. You're going to be looking at a low volume sort of node inside of that 445 to 434 zone. And if we do break under 445, I think you actually could look to hedge a position with some shorts on Tesla into 434. I don't hate that idea. If you do see a very clear failure under 445, I would not hate the idea of shorting that back into 434 because that's a nice low volume area right there. So I'm opportunistic on this one. I would be looking for both sides under 445 into 434, and then I would actually look to grab some more risk on a retest of 434 personally. If we actually get that and hold this 434, I'd be looking to target another long down at that level. So, just a nice clean pullback is what I'd expect. You definitely extended yourself into last week. We locked in profits on the swing trade, which was great. Over $10,000 swing trade, about 45%. And that was an awesome way to start the month. So really nice there. I do have another swing trade that's under a lot of pressure this morning, so I'll talk about that one. It's not going to look very pretty. I might be giving back some profits there, but hey, that's what it's all about. You win some, you lose some, I guess. But, a little bit tough, the reason why I'm losing, and I'll explain it in a second. Nvidia, 184.50, it's nothing to me. I keep saying this. You're dead to me, Nvidia, until you get over this level. And I continue to abide by that, and I continue to agree with my analysis. Nvidia has not given me or has not caused any FOMO for me over the last 2 weeks, right? Look at Nvidia's price action the last 2 weeks, guys. It's done nothing, right? So I continue to just not look at this stock, not care about it until it makes an important move. And that's what's going to keep me away from these shit price actions. So for me, when weekly highs 184.50, it's dead to me until it gets over it. I'm too concerned about this being a right shoulder high. That's too much of a concern for me. Left shoulder, right shoulder, right? And I still think you could possibly need this pullback to 153. Now, with the market where it currently sits and with the SMH strength that we continue to see, my assumption is that's not going to happen because this SMH is just absolutely grinding higher. But it is not off the back of Nvidia right now. I'll be honest. Oh, I don't have to be honest. That's the wrong word there. That's the truth, right? The truth is this SMH move is not off the back of Nvidia. It's a back off other semiconductors, which you should be paying attention to a little bit more, not such as AMD, but we'll go into AMD. I'll tell you such as in a second. But AMD 224, that's another rejection point. Daily 20, daily 50. Be careful there. The semis that are strong, ASML. This thing looks incredible today. I'm not going to lie. This thing looks very tempting. Look at this ASML setup, guys. We've seen this before. We have seen this before. Previous highs, look at this retest. Look at this bull flag. That looks pretty damn nice. I would absolutely be watching ASML today. You might need a little bit more downside. It's possible you need to retrace a little bit more than just this. But hey, there's a daily high right here at 1086. And I am looking at a very clear, for now, hold of that zone. And man, if this does have another day, this is going to look pretty damn nice. Today, it's already up $20 a share in the pre-market, right off that level. So this is a pretty nice watch, my friends. I would be very much paying attention to that. Broadcom, man, please go to Broadcom's 30-minute chart, take a screenshot and study it. That's all I want to say. So, if you guys, let's just do a little bit of a, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a, just a little Hold on. Let's go ahead and go back in time, okay? And just talk about how perfectly this set up on a daily basis, right? So let's start here, all right? This is back on December 2nd, okay? December 2nd. Let's start here. Broadcom, December 2nd, okay? Here's our analysis. Our analysis, we stated we could look for a pullback to 370 to 375, right? Retest this high, retest this low, pull back to 370, 375. So we're going to go ahead and just walk through how Broadcom traded back to the upside and how you should be looking at charts and how you should be looking to trade charts and looking for pullback opportunities. So you have Broadcom pretty extended, rejecting this previous high, but you do see a previous high here. You see these lows and you say, hey man, maybe if we get that pullback, right, I can create a new long off this exact previous level, right? So that's the thought process here. We said good pullback, looking for the 370 to 375 zone for a potential pullback long, right? So that was this day, okay? Then we got this day. Here was next day. What did the next day do? Okay, we rejected this high, bam, rejection, and we marked out this zone. Look, 370, 375. Let's see if we can get a pullback to this level. Bam, looks great. Okay, next day, here we have it. Look what Broadcom did. 370, 375, 370, 375, 370, 375, previous high, previous high, previous high. Pulled back into it. Bam, tapped it, bounced off of it, right? Starting to show me demand at that level. Here we go, next day, 370, 375, holding, big hold, right? And now we're looking to see if we can reclaim this high, these highs, right? Get back above these lows, turn this back into a support, right? The reclaim ripper, flipping back above the highs here, okay? Very nice. Next day, what did Broadcom do, right? Turn that exact high that we just marked out and this low into lows and pushed higher. Beautiful, exactly what we wanted. And finally, today, bam. I mean, look at how perfect. And I'm not just talking about my technical analysis, okay? This is not so much a show off of my technical analysis. Now, I will say it was perfect. There is nothing here that was provided over the last week that's not perfect. This is from plan A, right? From the start, from A to Z. Looking for that pullback, seeing that pullback, and then seeing how it flipped above, and then the payoff day, which is today. So that was perfect. Now, what I want you to take out of this is how you look for these setups, right? That is, take a screenshot, remember this, pullbacks, creating opportunities, back to the key level, and then showing me the market structure, right? Here's structure 1, structure 2, structure 3, back to structure 2, and back to structure 1, right? Structure 1, structure 2, structure 3, back to structure 2, and back into structure 1. Structure 1 lows turning into structure 2 highs, structure 2 lows turning into structure 3 highs. That's bearish. And then we have structure 3 highs turning back into structure 2 lows. We have structure 2 highs turning back into structure 1 lows, right? And you're just stair-stepping back to the upside. So this is what we talk about pretty much on a daily basis in the mentorship group. Basically, all of our calls are about market structure, because if you can pay attention and learn this right here, you are going to be a very profitable trader, sincerely. If you just trust this, I mean, not every chart is this perfect, but I hope that you understand what we just talked about there, because that is some powerful stuff, and you can see how powerful that is on Broadcom. So, really nice. That's all I'm going to do there. Congratulations to Broadcom holders. Congratulations to anyone that bought those leaps with me. Looking fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. Let's continue. So what else do we have in our technicals today? We got, let's go quickly into, okay, let's just go into the big cap tech. So Google, Microsoft, Google, still looking for this to hold, right? Here's sort of where that structure begins. You know, let's see if this can hold strong. Maybe this is one that fails. We'll see. but we have to see a hold in this area, 314, 318. If we can, and we can flip back over this 324, then what are we going to get, right? We're going to potentially get that, structure flip, which I would look for to see if that happens. So 324, watching that on on Google. Meta continues to sort of grind higher. Our leaps are looking fantastic here as well. The 660 holds, very important. So you can see right here, the 660 holds right here are turning into new lows. That's perfect. I would expect still probably Meta to come back down to 648 personally because of this gap up. So 648 pullback would not scare me. I'd actually think that's an opportunity, guys. Here's another one that you could watch, right? If Meta comes back to 648, don't be scared. Look for the opportunity back to the upside on a pullback long to fill this gap. You have the 200 SMA right here. You have the daily 50. The real gap starts at 681, which likely could be a rejection point. So just be aware of that. So here's your Amazon, right? Here's your Amazon. If the market's strong today, if we get another push higher on the market, is this opportunistic on Amazon? Let's keep a watch on it, right? We have previous highs. We have the lows starting to hold. We have daily 50, daily 100. Now I'd want to see that structure flip, which to me, I need to see a move back over these previous lows here, which you can see, and actually probably these highs. You can see they're starting to reject. So right now, I need to see us get back over that Friday high to flip that structure, right? You have this clear zone right here that I need to see a break, retest, hold, right? And then I'm interested. So that's what I'm watching on Amazon. Microsoft, it's the same thing, right? We got to get back over the 485. This is a very clear spot right here, 485. Can we get above it? That would be something I'm watching there. Apple, that pullback is quite interesting. AAPL, the Apple pullback to the daily 20 and these previous highs, these lows right here, daily 20, 275. That's definitely something to keep watch on there. The Oklo, what a trade on Oklo on Friday, man. What a move. What an awesome comeback. Holding shares on Oklo down at 85, and I'm very pleased about that. We have been talking about Oklo on a daily basis here. Daily basis. If you come to the live streams for free, you know we've been talking about this weekly level on Oklo every single day. Here's your highs. Here's your lows. Here's your pullback of 50% back to these highs. What has Oklo done since 85? It's now up $20 a share. Okay, so congratulations to those that trusted that. That is fantastic stuff. We are now holding above the daily 100, which is great as well. And I would actually look to see if we can get over 110 today. So beautiful opportunity on Oklo. Another one. Circle. This is another trade that I'm in. I'm continuing to watch this circle hold of 81, 82. Previous highs turning into lows. Daily 20 swooping. Going to look to see if Circle can get a move today. And then here's the stock that I am, it's actually coming back slightly, so that's good to see. Here's the stock that I'm going to get a little bit of a beating this morning on. It'll smack me around just a little bit, but I'm going to stand tall for, some of the day to see what it does. But CRWV, a great looking setup in my opinion. Love the setup. This morning getting hit by some news that they're doing some convertible notes, basically private debt, right? Offering debt, which obviously, does a little bit of a short-term panic on the market. Always is going to happen like that. So that sort of sucks getting hit by that news this morning. But I'm very much still focused on what we do at these previous daily lows around that 83.50, 85. We can see that we're trying to hold that zone. Going to want to see it hold. To be honest, I think I probably should be giving it back down to this daily 20 and $80 level. I think that's still a great look to hold above these previous highs, this previous wick high, right? That daily 20, that's sort of swooping right here. So I still think that this pullback could be opportunity, but it is going to hurt a little bit this morning. So we'll see how we battle back out of that one today. ASTS, another one that's been heating up. You should be watching this. 72 is really nice. I'd watch 72.66. RGTI is probably one of my top watches here on the share side. I'm definitely going to be looking to maybe expose myself to some shares on Rigetti. I love this pullback, and I love this flip, right? Look at the flip. Highs, highs, highs into lows. I mean, that just is a technical flip that should be paid attention to. Whether you like this or not, highs, highs, highs into lows, daily 20, daily 100, pullback opportunity. I'm definitely keeping eyes on RGTI today, off that 20 spot, off that 27, 28 spot. Oracle, we're going to have to go speed round because we're running out of time. There's so many nice watches. This is probably top watch of the day. Yes, this is absolutely top watch of the day. Oracle has earnings this week, so a little bit concerning on that, but I would be looking to trade it prior to earnings. 218.79, 219.56. What are those levels, you ask? Those levels are the exact previous lows right here on the daily chart. This low and this low on the daily chart is between 218.79 and 219.56. Right here, you can see that that is the exact level that is rejected on Friday and is holding this morning. That is a fantastic watch today. I would be keeping eyes on that. Just an honorable mention for WDC and one of the best dip buys I have in the portfolio. This thing is fantastic. What a great dip buy into that 150 spot. Overneath. That's the third time I've said that. Overneath. I've said that 3 times. That's twice last week, and I just said it again. 167.50 right here, right here. Watch that 167.50 WDC. MP, continuing to watch this weekly setup, keeping eyes on that. And that's about it today, guys. You still got plenty more. You got Hood, you got Palantir, you got APP, which looks great. APP holding over 675 is perfect. I mean, just absolutely perfect. Highs into lows, break, retest. Looking good there, APP. So, a lot of good-looking stuff out there, man. A lot of key things to watch. All these technicals shared inside the group. Of course, if you want to get my key levels on a daily basis, you can go check out the key levels below, the Get My Levels below. If you want to trade live with me on a daily basis, you can check that out as well. If you want to get put on the mentorship wait list, we are going to be opening that up for 2026. So if you want to get on that list, you can check that out below as well. But congratulations to some of the recent trades. I think we've been pretty damn spot on some of our analysis here. And of course, we do it all for free on YouTube every day. So if you could, please press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and have a fantastic trading day. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love. Upside.